Welcome to the Worship Keys YouTube channel. My name is Carson Bruce. So glad you're here. We talk all things music theory, gear, industry, and ministry for your worship keys playing. If this episode is beneficial for you or you have any questions as you continue to watch, feel free to comment below, and I'd love to hear any feedback that you have along the way. So let's get into today's episode. Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Worship Keys podcast. Right now, I am in Atlanta, Georgia, and I would love to introduce Zain Stefan. Zain is you're only 19, right?
Yes, just turned 19.
Just turned 19. Happy late birthday, man.
Thank you.
Only 19 years old. So he plays at the Croc Center church here in Atlanta. Not Crocs as in the shoes.
Yeah, Croc with a K-R-O-C.
K-R-O-C. Yeah. Zain, tell us, how did you learn piano, man? How did you come to love music to begin with?
So even though you hear this accent on me, I'm Caribbean from the islands. So
there you go.
When I was in Belize, there used to be an old upright piano in our house. Like I grew up, I think it was there when we got the house or whatever. And I would kind of just bang the keys on it because I was like 4 or 5. Didn't really know what I was doing at all. So I just banged the keys on it. My brother played the violin as well, and my mom sang. So kind of a musical family. So I would see my brother in lessons. I'm like, Mom, sign me up for lessons. I begged her to do it. And then when I was about 6 was when she signed me up for lessons. It was great until it wasn't. I kind of got tired of, learning like scales and stuff.
Yeah.
I regret like quitting when I did now.
Right.
But yeah, that was how I got started. And then obviously growing up in church this whole time, just hanging around the church musicians. Then I moved to Antigua. This is when I actually started playing on the worship team at my church. And those guys have really like mentored me a lot. Then transitioned to here in Atlanta. Just got connected to the Croc Center through just someone I knew that used to play here, and then been here ever since.
That's awesome, man. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. You've been around.
Yes, I have.
You have been around. And it's wild because my wife and I, we've been married 3 years, and when we went on our honeymoon, we went to Antigua. Yeah. And before booking the honeymoon, I never really heard of Antigua specifically, Beautiful country, man.
It's a little island in the northeastern Caribbean.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. So tell me about your church culture and about what you guys, the style of music that you guys play in here and what you guys really thrive in.
Yeah, so the church culture here is pretty free, pretty open. So we're not like, we have to only do these set of songs. We do a lot more CCM than like gospel. So typically not like a Fred Hammond type, but you'll hear some like Vashawn Mitchell, like Donnie McClurkin, Todd Delaney, that type of thing. And then some of the more modern worship songs. But we try to like keep it open, keep it diverse. There's not really like a hard and fast rule as to what kind of songs we have to do. And our members are like very open to whatever we do. Right. We could pull up a Fred Hammond one day and they'd still rock with it. They'd still love it. But of course we try to keep it more to songs they know that they can interact with.
That's awesome, man. Really, really cool. And it's beautiful how so many churches do different styles and different songs, all across America, all across the world. Of course, there are the hit charts on Billboard and CCM and the radio plays, but there's also these hidden gems that people don't always hear that are such powerful songs that can be so great within your worship experience. But that's really cool. Well, Zain, we're so glad you're on the podcast episode today.
Glad to be here.
And so very great. I mean, I'm sure a few people are listening from your Instagram, and he has a great platform on there, some really cool tips and tricks. We'll definitely link your Instagram and so people can stay connected to you, man, and basically see more of your rundown and more of your tips and understand that a little more. But right now we have the Nord Stage 3 in front of us, and this is your go-to keyboard?
This is my go-to keyboard. When I first got here, we had a Nord before this. It actually got stolen.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately. So the first week I came here, they had like some old Casio, and I'm like, what did I just walk into? I'm like, what did I just walk into? Right. And then
I'm going back to Antigua.
And then a week later, I show up to, I think the rehearsal or something, and I see it Nord, and I'm like, my mind is blown. It took me a little while to kind of figure out how to work this, but I'd say I'm pretty proficient in it now.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, I love to kind of talk a bit a bit about the Nord because it is intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
So when you learned how to play and get around on the Nord, how long did it take you to kind of get familiar with all the settings?
So it was kind of like a curve. So kind of like this and then this.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I first got it, I like didn't know what was going on. I would just turn it on and it would be on this kind of I don't even know what you call this, but it's like kind of program type thing.
Yeah.
So
Activation.
whatever sound would come up when I turned the keyboard on is what I'd play.
Right,
Because
right.
that's all I knew how to do.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I'm like, what's this live mode button right here?
Yeah.
So that's when I started to use live mode to essentially have up to 10 different like scenes, so to speak, of or banks of sounds is what I did. And then after that, I kind of figured out, oh, this is one section, organ section, synth. And it kind of like opened up because I'm more used to like Yamaha MODXs, where it's like a screen where you can see everything.
Right.
But I definitely appreciate how they've done it here to essentially like break things up.
Absolutely. Yeah, when you look at the section, it's just organ, piano, you got your main panel module, you got the synth, and you got some external stuff and presets over here as well and effects. But it's kind of like the piano. You look at the whole piano, it's 88 keys.
Yeah.
And when you think about, wow, there's 88 keys, that's crazy. But then you think, oh, there's just 12 notes. It repeats itself, and then only 7 notes within the major scale. You know, you can really go out and then zoom in. Same thing with this Nord. Same thing with Ableton as well, which we'll get into here in just a minute. But so super cool. You have the Nord Stage 3. I know the Nord Stage 4 is out.
Yes.
I ask people, hey, what version of the Nord do you like the most?
I like the 4 because they added the drawbars.
Yes,
So
the
I
drawbars are
typically,
awesome.
I don't really like to use the organ on this, not just because I don't, the Leslie mod is kind of wonky.
Yeah,
But the drawbars on the new one, I much prefer that than these because this just feels kind of weird. Playing.
Yeah.
And you know the panel, the extra panels, I just and the faders instead of knobs. I like it. I'd rock with a stage 3, but I mean I'd take a 4 too.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I'd probably lean towards my 3 a little bit more.
right, because you're more familiar with
Yeah.
it. Yeah, those drawbars it's a really great selling point. But hey, man, let's get into it.
So on a typical Sunday with how we kind of do our thing, we have obviously this is the Nord. This is the main keyboard. Keys 1 is what I typically play, like pianos, not much aux. But yeah, so just 2 stereo lines coming out of this, and then I have kind of Ableton as well. Sending about 2, sometimes 4 outputs using Dante Virtual Sound Card. Right now I'm in the Focusrite, but typically it would be Dante Virtual Sound Card just to minimize the amount of cables on stage. But yeah, sometimes I use pianos from this just depending on what the worship song is. So one of the workhorse keyboards is the Royal Grand 3D. Like everybody that has a Nord knows it. Everybody uses it. It's just sounds great. A lot of use cases. Another thing I'll do is to use this kind of, I think it's called timbre is a correct pronunciation. So if let's say I want to use this tone, but I'm in a softer part, I'm in like a verse or an intro, then I'll just go to soft, and it changes that tone from being to being. And then I'll probably grab for my reverb as well to make it sound a bit more spacey. Something like that. And then when I get to a bigger part, this keyboard is a little bright already, so maybe I might not use bright, but let's say I just want that keyboard to cut through in the bigger part of the song, then I'll grab for that bright knob. Another keyboard that I'll use, and I forgot to mention, is I also use live mode, so I can easily just switch between all my different patches. So this is one, and then on my second one, I have a White Grand, which sounds a little bit more mellow. I might use this for like a calmer worship song. And again, reach for that soft again at the intro. And then I can add in a pad here. If I shift over to, actually I should be on user, and I shift over to like a soft pad or warm pad is what I also like to use. this frequency allows me to control how bright it is versus how more muted it is. So in a setting like this, I'd have it more muted. And as I get to a bigger part of the song, I'm going bright. Something like that. And then my last kind of most used sound on this board is soft ground. Now this actually doesn't come with the Nord Stage 3. You have to actually load it into it you download it from Nord's site, and there's this program called, I think it's Nord Sound Manager. It's how you get this soft grand in here, soft grand extra large. But it just sounds super amazing. Typically use this for like prayer moments. I'm playing behind someone talking. It's just a kind of softer. I can bring up my pad a little bit, mess around with the frequency if you want it brighter. Come back a little bit. And this with the reverb sounds even more amazing. So something like that. And the next section that I don't really use much, but it's still kind of useful on this Nord, is the organ section. I just use the B3 model. There's a few pipe organs and stuff, and have your rotary on. So when I'm playing in a kind of softer moment, I'll probably reach for my 16 foot, probably my 4 foot and my 2 foot, maybe a bit of my 5th on slow. And then if let's say I'm starting a song, I'll go something like this. Slow. And I have my swell pedal as well that I'm using. And then as the song kind of builds, I'll add my higher octave drawbars. Yeah, not the worst organ, not the best, but it'll do the job a little bit. So kind of deep dive a little more into my synth section. I use a little bit of synths on this, more so as kind of like a backing or behind in my keyboard, not more like a lead pad sound. So one I like is kind of warm pad. Let me just bring it up. That's what that sounds like. Again, sometimes I mess with the frequency. Open it up, makes it brighter. Close it, makes it a little warmer. Another favorite is Warm Pad 2, which is a bit louder. Or soft pads before it. So again, just keeping it kind of in the background. Either of these kind of can interchange. So if I'm let's say I'm in a bigger song, we'll be using the Royal Grand 3 in a bigger song, and I'll probably open up that filter a little bit. And kind of have it fill the space a little bit more. I'm also using my reverb over here, as I've mentioned a few times, just to kind of add that space, add some ambience, make it feel bigger. I typically will just like coordinate with the person running front of house or on the stream mix to just like, leave reverb. Like to me, I kind of want to make those tone decisions here. Same thing with like EQ. I will do a little bit of EQ stuff on this, but I don't do much because it just sounds so good out of the box. And then with like front of house, with broadcast mix, they're kind of just making it sound good on their end to like the room or to the stream, but nothing really tone wise so much. But On this piano, for example, if let's say I'm in a moment by myself, I may want to fill the frequency spectrum a little bit more. So I'll turn on my EQ and add a little bit of bass to kind of make it a little bit. If I'm in, let's say, soft ground, like I mentioned before, and I'm playing in a kind of nothing is really going on, I'm playing behind someone talking moment, I'll kind of pull back on my high end to kind of make that vocal stand out a bit more. So you can hear the difference here versus when I pull it back some. It gets a little bit darker. So it's just out of the way, kind of just finding my spot to fit underneath the vocalist and not just trying to stand out and be like, oh, everybody can hear me. Compressor, again, I don't really use much of. I kind of just keep it simple when I'm using this Nord. And that kind of wraps up what I do when it comes to this.
Awesome, Zain. Dude, thank you so much for sharing your Nord rundown and just kind of your presets and stuff that you grab and you use. And again, it's really cool. It's just like maybe half of what you play with. Maybe is it even less than half of your setup?
Less than half.
Okay, because the main powerhouse is Ableton,
Yeah,
right?
it is. Ableton is my main powerhouse. Yeah, I kind of like to use both just because I don't want to be trapped to one thing. I like to be free to kind of use whatever. And it's a great board, great sound. So I just utilize both. Just use my ear for whichever one I prefer in the song.
I love it, man. And redundancy is super important.
Yes.
Like-
I think I've in time I've been here, I think I've had Ableton crash on me twice.
Oh.
It actually happened twice on the same day. So
Okay.
something was happening with my laptop that I got fixed. But yeah, definitely good to have had this as a backup.
Yes. No, absolutely. Those that only rely on software, it can go down. The last episode was about MainStage and using MainStage and MIDI controllers only, which can be great if you have a reliable computer that you think will always work. And we talked about MacBooks and how they're very reliable. The M1 chips on MacBooks are incredible, but technology's technology.
Yeah.
Things go crazy. But I hope you guys enjoyed Zane's rundown of what he kind of uses on the Nord. And if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to comment and talk about what he did or what you would also do instead, or just any tips you would like to add to what Zain does as well, because everyone does things differently and for their own house of worship and setting. So thank you for sharing that, man. At this point in the episode, I do want to kind of talk with you more about your own music and your own future plans and goals, bro. So, I mean, you're young, you're only 19 years old. You got a ton of stuff to look forward to, both in the church world and your own personal world and growth and being your own artist. So Zain Stefan is an artist name that you have.
Yeah.
And you're making your own music, bro. Tell us about your kind of production world and your songwriting world, and also the new single you just released this summer. It's out. People can go listen to it. Tell us all about it, man.
This single is called The Perfect Man. It's not like specifically a worship song. I would say it's kind of born out of my theological principles with regards to kind of race and culture and kind of what's going on. It's a very touchy topic, but I feel like everyone has something that they can add to this conversation that's beneficial. I just found that my way of doing that was through the 88 keys of piano, through my voice. It's kind of voicing like my concerns, voicing what I see, letting people know that we're all one. God loves us all equally, no matter what you've done, no matter the color of your skin, which is like such a minimal part of who you are as a person. God loves us all equally. There's no reason to be having hate against each other. It's really just the pits of the devil trying to separate us. But this song is just giving an invitation to kind of unite, just saying like, we're all brothers and sisters, like it says in the Bible. There's a lyric that says we're in an endless cycle, like it says in the Bible. We're to love each other instead of trying to kill our brothers, right? We're all one big family. So I think everyone should use their voice in their own way. I found that my way is kind of through creativity, music. Your way could be poetry, could be writing, whatever. But I think we all have a part that we can add not only to this conversation, but just add to service in general, add to the kingdom, because the kingdom starts here and now.
That's good, man.
Yep.
I love that, bro. And that's a great message. And it is a touchy subject, but it's something that people need to hear.
Yes, for sure.
And guys, when y'all listen to this single, it sounds like a Hamilton production.
I've gotten that a few times. So interestingly, I started writing it. It's been a while now. I think I started writing it in 2022, in February of 2022. And I had the lyrics. I kind of just had like basic chord structure, which was like, I think song is in like C is what it starts in. Yep. It's kind of what I had. It was really just piano, and I'll let you listen to the first versions. That's definitely not going anywhere else. But yeah, that was kind of the first versions that I had. And then I also was kind of listening to Hamilton a lot more. So I think it like subliminally kind of got in there, like, you know, the stomps and the claps.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a big Hamilton fan. It was actually, Hamilton was, that album
Yeah.
was my like most listened album on Apple Music in
Right.
2022 or 2023.
That's cool,
like
man.
that. But yeah, like even through writing, when I first got to the US, it was a very different experience living in the Caribbean. I went to a school that had like a graduating class of like 50 people.
Yeah.
Versus my school here, North Atlanta High School, shout out, had like 2,000
Wow.
people
Yeah.
in the entire school, graduating class of like 500 and something. So
Nice.
I kind of use music to essentially find my way
Yeah.
when I got here, because I didn't really have like a friend group up here, nothing like that. So the first people that I kind of became friends with up here were guys in the jazz band. So that was kind of my community. So music has always kind of been that outlet of like, whenever I felt kind of like alone, like out of place, kind of trying to adjust, music has always been that constant, is why I kind of put so much like of myself into it, my personal life into it, because it's always been there, and God in the music has always been there for me.
Praise God, man.
Putting out the music, the words, you know, using social media, using your platform to kind of make people aware of like, hey, these things are going on, these things aren't right.
Yes.
That's what changes the heart.
That's good, man. Thank you for sharing that. I love your playing ability here and what you've got set up on the Nord. Y'all go check out Zain Stefan. His single is out, The Perfect Man. Obviously, we know who the real perfect man is, Jesus Christ.
God, of course. Definitely not me.
Yeah, he came down and lived a perfect life. And of course, if you have him, you have the Holy Spirit, and he's living inside of us, and we are victorious through the power of the cross. So we're thankful for that, and never want to shy away from the gospel and what Jesus is to us. So guys, this episode is concluding. Thank you to Zain again. And guys, next week we're going to have him back again for another episode, and he's going to really get into some nitty-gritty of the full Ableton rig. So really excited to see
You
that.
definitely do not want to miss it.
Yes.
You definitely do not.